So it's April 6th, 4 years after the fact. April 6th, 2018. I was working at Steel Incorporated. And I come to work, week after I sat there with Mr. Tom Sullivan and his two golf playing friends and those three guys in that tech shop sitting there listening to him to say, I'm going to prove you don't have a disease, Frank, because I don't believe you have a disease. I'm going to prove it. Remember that, guys? And then he tried to do that. And he sent that nice, qualified mechanic down into an area where he wasn't supposed to be using that product with a mask. Well, everybody's working underneath him. He's got a mask, cleaning that thing with a mask on while people are walking underneath him. None of the doors were open, as building safety requirements called for. And that master mechanic should have known the rules to work in that building. And he does. But because Mr. Tom Sullivan told him to go down there and spray that shit in that area, he went and did what Mr. Tom Sullivan told him to, which was spray that shit while you people were working around him. And it all got on you. It was on your clothing. That shit he was spraying above you. Remember, he was up top. You guys are all walking underneath him while he was spraying it. You had a mask on. You scrub it with a mask. Hey, I got video of that. No worries. So I went for lunch. Sat in my truck. Hey, I even had a Greg Byers come by and tap my fucking hood as he came back from lunch from Costco. Remember that, Greg? Oh, that's right. You told everybody you weren't in the building, didn't you? Forgot about that. And then, hey, let's go on. So I come back from lunch. Mechanic's not there. Everything's gone, right? I tried to go to work. I went to the little load right down the aisle where that guy was spraying just in front of him. And I got sick badly. And I started getting my abs attacks now. I went up the road. I felt a little better. I took my stop. I sat there. I waited. Guess who come by? Hey, Bob. Yeah, Bob come by. Sales manager. Yeah, asked if I was all right. And I said, yeah, I'll be all right. Just got to West End. He laughed and that. I started feeling bad. Went back to finish the job. Went back down that road. Put the stuff on. Started feeling sick. Went back up the road. Got really sick. Went out the back door. I didn't go out. I wasn't allowed to go out, remember? Because, Tom and them told me I'm not allowed to leave the building. Dave says I'm not allowed to leave the building. I'm supposed to run to the front and get help. So I didn't have time to throw up while I was, running and get help. So I threw out the back door. And I sat on my cart. When Matt come by, who also got sprayed with this shit. Bob and Matt. Yeah, and Miss Pretty Spray, and Miss Hairdresser. Hey, yeah, that's right, Miss HR. You got sprayed by it too. You walked right under it. Remember, I drove by you after you walked under it. So you all had this stuff on you. And it set me off again. And that was the third time, people, when I came up front for help. Bob, was sitting there with his phone in his hand. Matt was sitting there with his phone in the hand. That girl wanted to be a fireman, had her phone in the hand. Captain Kirk had her phone in the hand. And I asked that girl to help me because I was having blurring problems and that. And she helped me at the thing. And I saw Dave, remember? And I got on the cart. And all I could do was hit that thing to go forward. Dave, I need an ambulance now. And he didn't call one. What he did, he called the fucking monster who let that guy spray that shit in my area after he knew he wasn't supposed to. It was planned, man. Prove his little thickness, right? And that's how it run. He had me right where he wanted me. And they run down there just as soon as Dave called. Dave left the building instead of calling me an ambulance. He called them first and left the building. Mr. Dave Wilkinson, you left me for dead. Hey, Mr. Brandon Ferguson, standing right there. Hey, you had a phone in your hand too? Did you call fucking 911, Mr. Brandon Ferguson? How about Mike? He was following me after I got off the machine, started going down, and Jeff, or did anybody call 911? How about Mark, my safety guy, who carried me into that room with Mike and the other guy trying to think in there help me, but they obeyed Tom's orders and threw me in a room. Didn't bring the defib machine, didn't do nothing, didn't bring my bucket machine, didn't even use a Stinson pen and frickin' EpiPen in frickin' Dave's office. He didn't even know how to use one. A man with no medical knowledge told everybody what to do when you are told right in our March 2nd, hey, don't listen to Tommy, has no medical qualifications. And you all listen to him, even including the HR lady told you not to listen to him. And you stuck me in that room. And they never called the ambulance, did they? Hey, Was I awake when you stuffed me in that room? How far was that room from when I started to go down? How far did you carry me? Mr. Health and Safety, First Aid Qualified, Mark. Hey, man, what do you do when a person passed out? What do? You leave him where he is. Put him in a position. Make sure he's not choking. Hey, man, what happened? You listen to Tom. Guy you're told never to listen to. You stuffed me in that fucking room. How long was Tom in there alone with me, people? Alone with me, playing with me. Before he signaled that bitch with his finger nodding to call the fucking ambulance while she's out there. Yeah, I'm now calling an ambulance. Don't you think I tried to call an ambulance when I asked for it at the frickin' line there, Mr. Brandon Ferguson, and everybody else that stood there and watched this happen? Well, today's the date. 1:30 this afternoon. I fell on the floor. 20 people watched me fall. No one called me an ambulance. They stuffed me in a room. Left me in there to die. But I didn't die, so they had to call an ambulance finally. And then they finally did. Thanks all you people at Stihl.